there was a farm boy who was coming down the street. He had a wagon full of corn. True story. It's a farm boy, had a wagon full of corn. He was driving it down the street. As he's driving this wagon down the street, he kind of turns real sharp. The horses take off running, and the wagon flips completely over. Lands right on top of itself, flips over all the corn and everything else. It's totally destroyed. So, after the wagon flips over, the farmer next across the street comes over, and he looks at the wagon, starts talking to the farm boy. He said, just blow it off and come over to my house for dinner. The little farm boy said, that'd be a good idea, but I don't think Dad would like it very much. He said, forget Dad, we'll get it fixed, we'll take care of it, come on over. So the little farm boy said, okay, that's fine, we'll do it, we'll go. So they head off to the older farmer's house for dinner. They get inside there, they sit down, they start eating dinner, and afterwards the little boy looks over at the older farmer and he says, man, thanks for dinner, but we better go get this wagon taken care of now because Dad's not going to be real happy. And he said, you know what, that's crazy. He said, I've heard that before. He said, what's the big deal? Where's your dad anyway? The little boy looks at the farmer and he says, underneath the wagon. He'd left him there. True story. But listen, witnessing is the same way with you teenagers sometimes. Witnessing's the same way. Some of you know you have friends who don't know Christ. Some of you know that you know people right now that are not going to heaven. If today were to be your last day here on earth and your friend were to go with you, you know your friend wouldn't be in heaven someday, yet for some reason, something's holding you back from witnessing. What? What is it? What's holding you back from inviting your friends in here? Each one of you know a friend that should be in here tonight in church with you, but they're not. Why? Because you didn't say anything to them. Why? What's holding you back from witnessing, from telling people about Christ? This whole month we've been talking about, our series has been locked in. It's been getting focused on the eternity of others, on the reality of eternity of others. And we're talking about witnessing, and for some reason, teenagers, for some reason, just don't witness. The title of tonight's message is, If I Don't Share Christ, Who Will? Well, any answers? Who will? You're not sure anybody will. But why not? What is holding you back? I'll tell you why. There's 3 reasons tonight that we're going to cover. Here we go. Reasons why we don't witness. Reasons why we don't tell others about Jesus Christ. First off is hypocrisy. Hypocrisy, write that down. You guys, let me ask you this. You guys ever go grocery shopping? Have you ever had to, you get grounded, your mom takes you on a Saturday to grocery shopping? One honest person. Anybody else? Anybody on a Saturday, your parents make you go? I used to like go grocery shopping because I knew I was going to get some sweet food. I knew I was going to get a lot of good food. So I'd beg my parents to go grocery shopping. I'd go, I'd pick out, chips, Oreos, everything else. But now my wife goes grocery shopping for me, Jenny. And I love it when she goes because she always comes back with all sorts of good food. But the other night she came home with a bag of chips, a big bag of chips like this. And man, I saw it. I was starving. I was thinking, man, I want to eat that. That looks so good. I mean, a big, fat bag of chips like this. I saw it and I thought, man, unbelievable. So I took it. It had a family size on it, just like this. Went down, sat on the couch. I kind of just sat there, topped on the remote, and I took this bag of chips. And I pulled it open like this. And I looked inside of it. I looked a little more. I thought, where's all the chips? I mean, what in the world? Has that happened to you guys? Whether it's a small bag of chips at school or whether it's a big bag of chips, they just blow these things full of air. And I mean, look. That's all that was in there, is that. In this huge bag, just a little case of chips. Out of this huge bag, I mean, this thing looked like it would fill up all of these, this big puffy bag of chips. But you know what? Things inside don't always look like how they're wrapped. Things inside don't always look like how they're wrapped. And your Christian friends, your friends that you have, don't look like what they're wrapped around outside. They're hypocrites. Some of you know hypocrites in your life. Some of you know people who have been hypocrites around you. Your Christian friends are hypocrites. They're not what's inside is not what's on the outside. What is the definition of a hypocrite? Here you go. You want the definition? Here it is. Psalm 5:9 in the Bible. It's Psalm 5:9. The psalmist really had it right. This is what it says. For there is no faithfulness in their mouth. Their inward past is destruction. Their throat is an open tomb. They flatter with their tongue. Did you get that? Shake your head yes if you got it. Let me read it again. Psalm 5:9. For there is no faithfulness in their mouth. Their inward part is destruction. Their throat is an open tomb. They flatter with their tongue. First off, let's start at the beginning of the verse. It says there is no faithfulness in their mouth. There's no faithfulness in their mouth. Listen, faithfulness. I want you to circle that word. What are they saying? They're saying that some of these people will be faithful when they're in church. They're here on Wednesday, they're here on Sunday, and they're ready to play church, and they're ready to play God. And they even bring their Bibles with them, and they come and they listen, and they love to worship and everything else. But when they leave church on Wednesday or Sunday, don't try looking for them. Because they're going to be out cussing and drinking and hanging out with friends on Friday nights they shouldn't be. They're hypocrites. The verse is telling us about hypocrites. The second part of the verse says their inward part is destruction. The NIV calls it wickedness. What they're wrapped in is not what's inside. Listen, what they're wrapped in is not what's inside. Then it says their throat is an empty tomb. What comes out of a tomb? Death. It says their throat's an empty tomb. It's letting out death, and then they flattery with their tongue. Bottom line is this. Bottom line is this. If this is you, if you're one of these Christians that's blown up, real big, and you've got this wide open arms, and you love God on Sundays, and you love God on Wednesdays, but when you leave here, you go run around with the same friends. You go getting into the same trouble. You go doing the same things you shouldn't be. You're not doing anything to help the cause of Christ. You're not sharing Christ. You're sharing confusion. Because people are thinking, man, what's going on here? Who is this? Who are they really? You've got to start living the life. You've got to start living the life if you want people to notice your faith.